Hi everyone! In today's video, I wanted to share with you a few ideas I had for transforming regular mailing envelopes into pretty and decorative ephemera to include in your junk journal. Before we get started, I recommend tea dyeing the envelopes. This will give it a vintage look and also open up the flaps to make them easier to work with. So I want to cover up the inside of the envelope using a decorative napkin, but I still want it to have a border all around the edges. So I basically just want to cover up the blue part of the envelope. To make this simpler, I just took an extra envelope that I had and I'm cutting away all of the borders so that only the blue portion remains. And I will use this as a guide so I can cut out the shape from this decorative napkin. If you want to make this easier on yourself, you don't have to worry about the border. You can just glue the napkin directly onto the inside of the envelope. If you don't have any decorative napkins, feel free to use scrapbook paper or fabric or any other materials, but definitely keep the leftover scraps as we'll be able to use this later on. So now that I've cut out that shape, I'm using a piece of tape to peel away the excess layers from the back side of the napkin. I learned this trick from the channel 49 Dragonflies, and it makes it so much easier to peel those layers away. And then I'm just applying glue so that I can attach the napkin to the envelope. Next, I apply glue to the edges of the bottom flap of the envelope so that I can fold it back together. Now, I also wanted to decorate the outside flap, so this is where I'm going to be using the leftover napkin from before. I'm using the same trick again to remove the extra layers of the napkin, and you can tell when you've reached the final layer when the colors become transparent from the other side. Then I glue the napkin directly onto the flap of the envelope and cut away the excess material. And there we have the finished envelope, and I'm ready to put this inside of my junk journal. So I'm using my Tombow tape runner adhesive to attach this inside of my junk journal, and I chose one of the smaller pages because I thought it would be better suited for this size of envelope. For this next idea, I'm using a long letter-sized envelope, and I'm turning that into a double pocket. First, I'm going to close down the flap of the envelope, and then I'm going to fold up the bottom third to create the smaller pocket, and I'm using the previous one that I made as a guide since I want them both to be about the same size. Next, I'm going to cut open the top of the envelope, and this is going to create the taller pocket. I'm using this botanical napkin again to decorate, and I really like this floral design. It's very much my style. So I'm using that to cover up the part of the envelope where the flap is showing. I really like the golden flowers on this napkin, so I made sure to place it so that that part is showing, because about half of the napkin is going to be covered up by the pocket. So I'm actually going to be hand stitching this pocket down, so I ended up choosing this golden yellow color for the thread, and I'm using a straight stitch all around the border of the pocket. Once I reach the end of the pocket, I just stitch all the way back around so that I can fill in all of the gaps in between. If you don't like hand stitching, you can also use a sewing machine, and it should be pretty straightforward, but personally I find it too much of a pain to set up my sewing machine. So now to put the pockets inside of my junk journal, I actually wanted to put them on the inside of the front and back covers. So at first I used my Tombow adhesive to try to glue this down, but it was not strong enough, so I had to go back and add more glue, and so I ended up using Mod Podge to attach the second pocket, and that worked a lot better. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm glad to have something to put on the inside covers of my junk journal. I'm hoping to finish up this junk journal soon so that I can do a flip through and also start working on my next junk journal. I hope that you got some ideas from this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean a lot to me, and I'm actually getting pretty close to reaching 100 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.